Hi everyone, welcome to the Icehouse podcast. Today we're talking with Catherine Leonard from Nagle Contracting, and Catherine has done our Taking Your Business Forward online-based program. This program came out of COVID and we're excited to see people jump online and start learning through the Icehouse network and become part of that network. So welcome Catherine to the podcast.
Thank you, Bryar. Great to be here. And really looking forward to talking to everyone today.
Exactly, it's going to be good. So we'll start us off with explain to our listeners your business and also your journey of becoming a business owner of Nagle Contracting, your work experience, all that sort of stuff. We'd love to hear.
Okay, so we are a agricultural contracting business based in Methven, which is just about an hour out of Christchurch. We're silage contracting, so we can trade feed, provide feed, and do on-farm services for farmers in this mid-Canterbury area. We have a fleet of tractors, forage harvesters, JCBs, so we're pretty mobile. We travel sort of as far north as Sheffield, Colgate, and as far south as sort of Pendarvis and the general area in between.
Wow.
My journey is not that straightforward. I actually have just followed along on the ride for my partner. He's an Irishman. He's been in New Zealand for 10 years and he's been contracting for those 10 years. So he worked for a fellow contractor in mid-Canterbury for 7 years. And then we sort of very quickly made the decision between Patrick and myself and my family, who were very lucky to have their support, that perhaps we should give this a go on our own. So I've kind of just, like I said, followed along for the ride. I'm most definitely not qualified for any sort of agricultural contracting. I can work a computer and cook a dinner, and that's kind of what my role is based around. I actually spent 5 years overseas myself, and very lucky to have Patrick in my family. But I'm mainly sort of farming background, a little bit of dairy farming. I was working with racehorses in Ireland, so not really, aptly qualified to be around big machinery. But we've followed Patrick into this journey, and it's been a very condensed journey. We've been going for 2 years now. We've just finished our second full season, and we're very lucky to be where we are at the moment.
Awesome. So what's your role or your title?
General all-round person, really, but I take care of the accounts and just the sort of health and safety and HR side of the business, as well as sort of keeping the guys looked after and fed when we're pulling those big hours over the summer. But just general all-round contracting. You don't really fit into a box. You just kind of glide between different job responsibilities.
Keep everything afloat. I love it. And so common in a family, partnership and business. So awesome, that's great. What's been a business highlight and a challenge over the last year?
The highlight sounds very different and probably not a very straightforward black and white business highlight, but we managed to make things work, and we bought a brand new forage harvester, which is quite an achievement. They're quite a significant amount of money, and just to be able to do this in year 2 was a massive achievement for us, and kind of just completing another season based off the back of our biggest challenge, which has been having staff. A little bit of background on that: most of our drivers are very qualified. They're not just little ride-on lawnmowers that you can get in and drive around. We're very specialised, very powerful, can be quite dangerous machinery. So we need staff that know what they're doing on a lot of this gear. So we found it really hard. Unfortunately, being a seasonal job, we find it hard to get Kiwis and train them because we can't really keep them throughout the winter. So we rely on the English, Irish. We've had some Canadians. They seem to really, really love that drive of long hours for a short period of time. So we did struggle a lot with staff, but we've been very lucky that the staff we've had have been very loyal and have stayed with us, and we've just been able to make things work.
So is that a COVID challenge of not directly in the country?
being able to get people in, and the big companies were able to get in a few staff for the essential skills, but we're only small. There's only sort of 10 to 12 of us, so we're not that big really.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. Anything else on that question?
Everything with COVID again has got more expensive, so the price of machines is going up and up. So we're having to just budget a little bit harder, think about machines we could be buying a little bit more. But we've got some very loyal customers, and seeing these customers do well this season with the payout and production and it being a good season for dairy farmers has also been a highlight, because we struggle when they struggle, and we do well when they're doing well. So it's really nice, and a lot of our customers are very progressive, so it's been lovely seeing those customers flourish per se for this season.
Yeah, that's great, and being able to do it together. That's cool. So when did you first hear of the Icehouse, and how long have you sort of been involved?
So I first heard of the Icehouse sort of online. We've used Xero since day one really, and I saw a few things about the Xero and Icehouse and talking about each other, and just kind of, I suppose, supporting each other in the background and the forefront and that sort of thing online. But I wasn't really involved very much. I just kind of looked and read a few of your podcasts and articles, and those nice quick snaps where you can go in and learn a lot about someone really quickly. And I've been involved really since I signed up to do the Taking Your Business Forward course.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. And so, like I said at the start, that course, that program launched last year. Who recommended you to do the program, and why did you take the step to do the program?
So massive shout out to Kirsty from Psychic and Accountants in Ashburton. She flipped me an email and said, hey, look, this is something you could be interested in. Have a look at it and let me know, sort of a thing. And I looked at it and put my name forward straight away without sort of getting back to Kirsty. But yeah, so Kirsty was kind of the one. She'd heard of it, obviously being an accountant. They're usually pretty up to date with everything. And so I said, well, I may as well give it a go. It looked really beneficial. I loved the way that the program was very clearly laid out from the start, so I kind of knew what I was getting myself in for. And I kind of just took the step. I spoke with Patrick, obviously, and Mark and Nikki, my auntie and uncle, and Mark and Nikki are very experienced. They've successfully run businesses, but I've come in with no real background, so I just felt like I wasn't really sure. I can do the day-to-day running, but I didn't really have the background of, like, say, budgeting, advantages, all that sort of thing, leadership, and help me run through. So that was kind of the thing that pushed to give me better foundations to be beneficial for our business.
And confidence too, right? Like,
definitely. There is nothing more terrifying than being in a small business and not being 100% sure about where you're going, like personally where you're going or what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, just having it backing, and because Taking Your Business Forward is quite a general program that, dives deep into subjects, but on the whole basis of business as such, rather than just finance or, that sort of thing. It is a great place to start in terms of getting that overall confidence when you are running a small business. So awesome, that's great to hear. Why don't you sum up your Taking Your Business Forward experience?
It was 100 times better than I thought. Really enjoyable. I look forward to every single Tuesday, whether it was the kind of the lectures per se or the self-guided discussions in our Zoom groups. I really, really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and it's actually become the foundations of what I think about when, like, we might be discussing a new machine or where we're going or what we're doing, and I know now what to draw back on. So it's really helped me build a very clear kind of foundation in my mind of the pros and cons of everything. And there's little bits that I didn't know, so I feel like I have a much better understanding of a small business now.
How did you find the online program style? And I say that because a lot of our programs at the Icehouse are face-to-face, but out of COVID, we wanted to be able to do online, obviously, but also reach people that are in different regions, people that may not have the ability to leave a business for 3 whole days like some of our other programs. So how did that style work for you?
Yeah, I have to say I was kind of like, oh, Zoom. We're not really very technologically advanced for our, contracting business. We don't need to be. So I was a little bit kind of like, oh, Zoom, how is it going to be logging in and see all these strange faces? But it actually worked really well. And I think it helps you kind of open up a little bit more when you're in the safety of your own home and, you can have these discussions. And also there's not the logistics of, like say, flying up for 3 or 4 days or whatever in the planning. So it's a lot more laid back, and it was super easy to follow. There was very rarely any interference during the discussions. The internet seemed to kind of play ball for everyone, but it was, really, really kind of chilled, but also very beneficial. And the online style, I think, works really well. It probably would have been a bit harder to justify, me buggering off for 3 days in the middle of the season. But I was just able to kind of hide for a couple of hours every Tuesday, and it worked really well.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And it makes it more accessible for that reason, exactly. So nice. What changes did you implement into your business since the program? Is there anything you can, sort of directly say, oh, that came out of what I learned at the program?
Yeah, so the program has taught me a lot, but most of all probably is we kind of now in our quiet time, the SWOT analysis and that sort of thing has really helped. And we've also looking at bringing in our goals and that sort of thing, non-financial KPIs, which is something we haven't done before. We've just purely been aiming for a set figure or a set goal. And now we're kind of saying, well, what else can we aim for? And that's really broadening what direction we're going in, because we're not just saying this many sales. We're going, well, we want to cover this much land with our mowers, or it's directly given us a much better option to budget, and we're looking at where we're going.
That's cool. And that will help with growth as well, being able to have some other targets in different areas. It's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Was there anything you learned from other business owners in your cohort?
Yeah, I learned that everyone struggles. And when we had our discussion groups, we started off very politely and we were all answering the questions, and we kind of got to understand a bit more about each other's businesses, and we started to discuss how we were struggling too. And it was nice to know that other people do struggle sometimes. It's not just us, and that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your business in that sort of way. So it was really nice to see people being very frank and honest and learning. And also I learned that there's no set time frame for what your business should be doing. It's all about your own personal business and the way and the path it's on, rather than in 5 years you should have 20 staff or something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that, And every conversation I have with a business owner, they go, oh, I'm so nervous to go in there because I felt like I wasn't worthy enough of being in the room or being on the Zoom call. Every other business is bigger than mine or whatever, and it's ingrained into every single business owner that the same sort of struggles and sort of imposter syndrome. So yeah, totally. Cool. Any learnings that you've taken out of 2020 and brought into 2021?
Yeah, so I kind of changed that question a little bit to be like, what learnings have I taken pre-Icehouse and post-Icehouse? And I'd kind of say that it's all right just to have, I've learned that it's all right just to have really small goals and steps and just have a clear plan. And also don't be afraid to not follow the competitors. I've learned to just be our own. We pride ourselves on what we do and the service we provide. But it's like you just mentioned, the imposter syndrome. We've just got to, we're stepping away. happy with who we are and what we're achieving. And that's been a massive thing for me and for us in the business.
Yeah, good on you. That's an awesome answer. That's cool. Flowing from that, any advice for small business owners in New Zealand?
Hang in there, probably. And that's probably the most cliche thing that I could say. But we're year 2 going into year 3, and it's not straightforward, but there's no thing than seeing your team or your product or your service and having someone compliment you about it and knowing it's all worth it.
Yeah. Keep in there. That's awesome. I love that. Cool. Great. And our last question is, what does the future look like for Nagle Contracting?
Full of tractors and big machinery. But
awesome.
Yeah, it's looking pretty bright. Like I said before, we're very lucky to have the support we have, and I'm very lucky to have been offered and taken part in that program. It's looking very bright, not for lack of hard work and effort, but we're just going to stay doing what we're doing, make sure we're looking after our customers. But it's very exciting to see how we go forward in the next few years.
Awesome. That's exciting days ahead, and it's been an honour to have you on the podcast but also on the program. Great to hear you got lots out of it, and I'm sure you brought lots to the discussions and all that sort of thing too. So thank you so much, and we'll keep in touch, Catherine.
Thank you very much.